I'm the normal one. You have to change from doubter to believer. And when I sit here in 4 years, I think we won one title in this time.
Well, there was his first press conference, and I remember going to that, being there for that at Anfield.
And were you actually in the press conference?
Yeah. So, I'd managed to get in there, and we're all sitting there, and there's media from sort of all over the world and all this. And like, do you remember the sort of the build up to us getting them, or even when we got them, the build up to us seeing them, if you like? And we've been told this big mad story of a mad fella who was sort of rock and roll and wears this rucksack and had all, jumps into the crowd and what I mean, and like goes absolutely wild and all this. And he was sort of like, he was pitched that way, and you were thinking like, what's he going to do? Like, is he going to do something mad in this press conference? Is he going to like, I was just looking at a piece I wrote on the day where Simon Hughes, who's now at the Athletic, he'd nudged me and said, do you think he'd be the first manager to come into a football press conference to heavy metal music? Because there was this big thing around them, wasn't there? Yeah. But what I remember about when he did come in, was he going to do something mad? What he did come in, you just heard this laugh, first of all. So we're all sitting there staring at a table, basically, waiting for him to come in and sit at said table. And you just heard this big booming Jurgen Klopp laugh. And he comes in and he's absolutely massive, dead tall, you know what I mean? I remember he looked like tanned, healthy, big massive smile. And he comes in, sits there and he obviously drops some absolute gold, doesn't he, in that very first press conference, the normal one and all that kind of stuff.
So I'm a totally normal guy. I'm the normal one, maybe, if you want this. Yeah.
I remember him saying in one of like the breakouts as well, he's sort of quite stern with some of the reporters, which I liked, because I thought, you're not going to take any shit, are you? Yeah. He said something like, don't make me out to be something I'm not. Don't say I'm a god because I can't walk on water, or something like that, he said. Yeah. And I remember just thinking, brilliant, because okay, they're a coach first and foremost, or, there's someone who's contributing to your buying players, but you've got to be able to in the modern day, you've got to be able to handle that media side. Definitely. And he absolutely owned it, didn't he, from day one? What do you remember about him, those very early
Well, do you know what's funny? As I've started picturing that press conference again, and like that excitement of us getting him, because you think back, and it's easy to forget now, isn't it? Because of everything he's done, and we know now what he achieved, and he's still there, obviously. But something I've always said about Liverpool Football Club and its managers, like I always use Rafa as an example of this. If you forget or you're too young to remember, go back and look at a picture of Rafa Benitez when he became our manager, and then have a look at what he looked like when he left, and look at that through all of our managers over the years, what it does to you. And it's the first time I've realised we've done it to Klopp as well. Like, if you look at Klopp now compared to what he looked like when he came in, he was fresh-faced, he was enthusiastic, that laugh, that booming laugh. Think about how little of that version of him we see now. It's still there, you do still see it, but it is more of a worn down,
more of a stressed.
He comes into, he bounced into those press conferences like, I'm going to control this, but I'm dead funny. I'll tell you off, but I'll make you laugh. Now you can tell he sort of comes into press conferences now like wanting to knock everyone out. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm sick of this. But which I get. Like, I haven't done it for years.
He hinted at some of that though, didn't he? If you think back as well, in that first press conference, he did say things like he didn't get the circus around it. He sort of didn't understand, did he? Why can't he just go for a pint and things like that? And
I remember that story.
And like, do you remember like it was the Hope Street Hotel, wasn't it? And like, I think there was like people taking pictures through like bathroom windows or some kind of madness.
He went for a pint in town.
What's that?
Yeah, because he was like, in Dortmund, I used to just do that, just go for so he was like, I'm going to go out in town. He did it once. And then he was like, I can't do that again. And the funny thing is, because my memory is, and I've never met him, but I lived in Formby at the time, and he moved to Formby. Yeah. So I literally lived like, it's like one of them where you like watching Carl Pilkington, where you live in the hole looking at the great houses. Like, I did not live on Millionaire Row in Formby, to be clear. But I was a few streets away from where it is, Victoria Road. So it was like, I'd walk down there to go to the train station, and he was known to like walk his dog and all that, and I had a dog, and I remember every time I walked my dog, I was like, might bump into Jurgen, might bump into Jurgen, and I was constantly thinking, find out what his dog looks like. Do you know what I mean? Because if my dog befriends his dog when his dog's out with his like son, then one day, like my dog will be like, "Oh, there's his dog," and I'll be like, "All right, Jurgen," and it just never happened. All the time.
I mean, he obviously still did want the pint, because if you look at when he went to, when the Reds were in Singapore in the summer, he went for a pint with like some of the, the Anfield rap lads and things like that.
Yeah. If you enjoyed that clip, check out the full shows on the This Is Anfield YouTube channel or podcast feed, and check out me and Robbo on the Late Challenge podcast on YouTube